Kate sat in the quiet corner of the hospital waiting room, her hands shaking as she gripped the cold plastic chair. The fluorescent lights above buzzed softly, casting harsh shadows across her pale face. She had been waiting for 3 hours now, and still no word from the doctors about her mother's condition. The morning had started like any other Tuesday. Kate was getting ready for work when her phone rang. It was her neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, crying and speaking so fast that Kate could barely understand her words. Something about an ambulance. Her mother collapsed in the garden, and paramedics rushing her to St. Mary's Hospital. Kate dropped everything and drove to the hospital, her heart pounding the entire way. She kept thinking about the last conversation she had with her mother just 2 days ago. They had argued about something silly, whether Kate should move back home to help take care of the house. Her mother insisted she was fine living alone, but Kate worried constantly about her safety. Now, sitting in this sterile waiting room, Kate wished she had spent more time with her mother instead of working late every night. She pulled out her phone and called William, her older brother who lived across the country. The phone rang several times before he answered. "Kate? What's wrong?" William's voice sounded concerned immediately. "It's Mom," Kate whispered, trying to keep her voice steady. "She collapsed this morning. I'm at the hospital, but the doctors won't tell me anything yet." There was silence on the other end of the line. Kate could hear William breathing heavily, and she knew he was trying to process the news. "I'll catch the next flight out," he said finally. "Which hospital?" "St. Mary's on Oak Street. William, I'm scared. What if something serious is wrong with her?" "Don't think like that," William replied. But Kate could hear the worry in his voice, too. "Mom is strong. She's been through worse than this." After hanging up, Kate felt slightly better knowing her brother was coming. William had always been the calm one in the family, the one who knew how to handle difficult situations. Ever since their father died 5 years ago, William had taken on the role of family protector, even though he lived so far away. Kate looked around the waiting room at the other families. An elderly man sat reading a newspaper, occasionally glancing at the doors where the doctors came and went. A young woman paced back and forth, talking quietly on her phone. Everyone here was waiting for news about someone they loved, and Kate felt connected to their shared anxiety. A nurse approached Kate's chair. "Are you here for Margaret Thompson?" Kate's heart jumped. "Yes, that's my mother. How is she?" The nurse smiled gently. "She's stable now. The doctor will come speak with you soon. She's been asking for you." Relief flooded through Kate's body. Her mother was alive and asking for her. That had to be a good sign. "Can I see her?" "Not just yet. The doctor needs to run a few more tests, but it shouldn't be much longer." Kate thanked the nurse and settled back into her chair. She closed her eyes and tried to remember happier times with her mother. She thought about summer afternoons spent in the garden together, learning how to plant tomatoes and roses. She remembered her mother teaching her how to bake chocolate chip cookies, always letting Kate lick the spoon. Those memories felt so precious now. Her phone buzzed with a text message from her boss asking where she was. Kate realized she had completely forgotten to call work. She quickly typed back that there was a family emergency and she wouldn't be in today. Work seemed so unimportant compared to what was happening here. 2 hours later, William arrived at the hospital. Kate saw him walking quickly down the hallway, his usually perfect hair messy from traveling. He looked tired but determined. Kate stood up and hugged him tightly. "Any news?" he asked. "The nurse said she's stable, but I still haven't seen the doctor. I'm going crazy just sitting here." William put his arm around Kate's shoulders. "We'll get through this together. Have you eaten anything today?" Kate realized she hadn't eaten since dinner the night before, but food was the last thing on her mind. "I'm not hungry." "You need to keep your strength up. Mom would be upset if she knew you weren't taking care of yourself." Before Kate could respond, a doctor in a white coat approached them. He looked serious, and Kate's stomach clenched with worry. Are you Margaret Thompson's children? Yes, William answered. I'm William, and this is my sister Kate. I'm Dr. Martinez. I've been treating your mother since she arrived this morning. Kate held her breath, waiting for the news. The doctor's expression was difficult to read. Your mother suffered what we call a cardiac episode. It's not exactly a heart attack, but her heart did stop beating normally for several minutes. Kate felt the room spinning slightly. Is she going to be okay? She's stable now, and we've got her heart rhythm back to normal. However, we need to run more extensive tests to understand what caused this episode. There might be an underlying condition we haven't discovered yet. William squeezed Kate's hand. When can we see her? She's resting now, but you can visit briefly in about an hour. I want to prepare you. She looks a bit weak and has several monitors attached, but that's all normal for this type of situation. After the doctor left, Kate and William sat together in silence. Kate felt overwhelmed by everything that had happened in just one day. This morning, she was worried about a presentation at work. And now she was facing the possibility that her mother might have a serious heart condition. I should have moved back home, Kate said quietly. If I had been there this morning, maybe I could have helped her sooner. Don't blame yourself, William replied. Mom is independent. You know she would never want us hovering over her constantly. But what if something worse happens? What if we lose her too, just like we lost Dad? William was quiet for a long moment. Kate looked at his face and noticed something she had never seen before. Uncertainty. William always had answers, always knew what to say to make things better. But now he looked just as scared as she felt. There's something I need to tell you, William said slowly. Something about Mom that she made me promise never to mention. Kate turned to face him completely. What are you talking about? William ran his hands through his hair and looked around the waiting room to make sure no one was listening. Mom has been seeing a cardiologist for the past 6 months. She's known about her heart condition for a while now. Kate felt like she had been slapped. What? How do you know this? Why didn't she tell me? She called me after her first appointment. She was scared and needed someone to talk to, but she made me swear not to tell you. She said she didn't want you to worry or feel like you had to change your life for her. Kate stood up abruptly, anger and hurt flooding through her. I can't believe this. Both of you have been lying to me for 6 months. I'm her daughter too. I had a right to know. Kate, please sit down. She was trying to protect you. Protect me from what? From caring about my own mother? Kate's voice was getting louder, and other people in the waiting room were starting to stare. William gently pulled her back down to the chair. She knows how much you sacrificed when Dad got sick. You took a leave from your job, you spent every day at the hospital, and you barely slept for months. She watched you fall apart, and she couldn't bear the thought of putting you through that again. Kate felt tears building up behind her eyes, but she fought them back. She had been holding back tears all day, trying to stay strong. But this news made everything so much harder. What exactly is wrong with her heart? Kate asked. She has something called cardiomyopathy. It means her heart muscle is weakened and doesn't pump blood as efficiently as it should. The doctor told her it was manageable with medication and lifestyle changes, but there was always a risk of episodes like what happened today. Kate put her head in her hands. Everything made sense now. Her mother's recent comments about being tired more often, her reluctance to do heavy gardening work, and her insistence that Kate shouldn't worry about visiting so frequently. She had been trying to hide her condition. Is there anything else you're not telling me? Kate asked. William hesitated, and Kate's heart sank. There was more. The medication she's been taking isn't working as well as the doctors hoped. That's probably why this happened today. They might need to consider more aggressive treatment options. Kate felt overwhelmed by everything she was learning. Her mother was sicker than she had realized, and her own brother had been keeping secrets from her for months. She felt angry, scared, and hurt all at the same time. A nurse approached them again. You can see your mother now, but please keep the visit short. She's still quite weak. Kate and William followed the nurse down a long hallway to the cardiac unit. Kate's legs felt shaky as they walked. She wasn't sure she was ready to see her mother connected to machines, looking fragile and sick. They stopped outside room 314. Through the small window, Kate could see her mother lying in the hospital bed. She looked smaller than Kate remembered, and there were wires and tubes connected to various machines around the bed. The steady beeping of the heart monitor filled the silence. Kate took a deep breath and pushed open the door. Margaret Thompson opened her eyes slowly when she heard the door open. Despite the tubes and wires, her face lit up when she saw her children walking into the room. "My babies," she whispered, her voice hoarse but warm. "You didn't need to come all this way." Kate rushed to her mother's side and gently took her hand. It felt cold and fragile, nothing like the strong hands that used to braid Kate's hair and bandage her scraped knees. "Of course we came, Mom. How are you feeling?" "Like I got hit by a truck," Margaret said with a weak smile. "But I'm alive, so that's something." William stood on the other side of the bed, his face serious. Kate could tell he was struggling with whether to mention what he had just revealed to her in the waiting room. "Mom," Kate said carefully, "William told me about your heart condition. Why didn't you tell me you've been sick?" Margaret's expression changed immediately. She looked at William with disappointment and hurt. "You promised me you wouldn't say anything." "She had a right to know, especially after what happened today," William replied gently. Kate felt the tears she had been holding back all day starting to build up again. "I'm your daughter, Mom. I should have been there to help you through this." Margaret squeezed Kate's hand as tightly as she could manage. "Sweetheart, you have your own life to live. You're finally doing well at your job. You have that nice apartment, and you're happy. I couldn't bear the thought of taking that away from you again." "Again?" Kate asked, confused. Margaret looked at William, then back at Kate. "When your father was sick, you put everything on hold for him. You lost that promotion you wanted, you broke up with David because you didn't have time for a relationship, and you barely took care of yourself. I watched my strong, independent daughter disappear into grief and exhaustion." Kate remembered those difficult months when her father was dying. She had spent every moment she could at the hospital, helping with his care and trying to make his final days as comfortable as possible. It had been the hardest thing she had ever done, but she never regretted being there for him. "That was different, Mom. Dad was dying. This is manageable, right? You can get better with the right treatment." Margaret and William exchanged a look that Kate didn't like. There was something they still weren't telling her. "What is it?" Kate demanded. "What aren't you saying?" Margaret closed her eyes for a moment, gathering her strength. "The doctors want to discuss some treatment options with me. Some of them are more complicated than just taking medication." "What kind of treatment options?" Kate asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted to hear the answer. "They mentioned the possibility of a pacemaker, or maybe even more serious surgery depending on how the tests go," William explained. Kate felt like the floor was falling out from under her. Surgery meant risks, complications, recovery time. It meant her mother's condition was more serious than anyone had initially led her to believe. "When do they want to do these tests?" Kate asked. "Tomorrow morning," Margaret replied. "And sweetheart, I need you to promise me something. Whatever the results are, I want you to go back to your life. I don't want you camping out here at the hospital like you did before." Kate shook her head firmly. "I'm not going anywhere, Mom. Not until I know you're going to be okay." "Kate, please. I'm asking you as your mother. I need to know that you'll take care of yourself and not put your life on hold for me." Kate stood up abruptly and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the hospital parking lot. She watched people walking to their cars, going home to their normal lives, while her world felt like it was crumbling apart. "I can't promise you that," Kate said without turning around. "I won't promise to abandon you when you need me most." Margaret started to respond, but a nurse entered the room carrying a tray of medications. "I'm sorry, but visiting hours are almost over. Mrs. Thompson needs to rest before her tests tomorrow." William kissed their mother's forehead. "We'll be here bright and early tomorrow morning." Kate reluctantly returned to the bedside and hugged her mother carefully, mindful of all the medical equipment. "I love you, Mom. Everything is going to be fine." "I love you too, sweetheart. Both of you." As they left the hospital room, Kate felt emotionally drained. The day had been full of shocks and revelations, and she knew tomorrow would bring even more uncertainty. In the elevator, William tried to talk to Kate about getting dinner, but she wasn't listening. She was thinking about all the signs she had missed over the past few months. Her mother's reluctance to go on their usual long walks, her complaints about being tired, and her insistence that Kate shouldn't visit so often. How had she been so blind? "It's not your fault," William said, as if reading her thoughts. "Isn't it? I should have noticed something was wrong. I should have asked more questions. Mom is good at hiding things when she wants to. She's been protecting people her whole life. Remember how she never told us how worried she was about money after Dad lost his job? We only found out years later how close we came to losing the house." Kate did remember. Their mother had always been the type of person who carried burdens silently, never wanting to worry anyone else with her problems. They drove to a small diner near the hospital and ordered coffee and sandwiches they barely touched. Kate kept checking her phone, as if the doctors might call with news, even though they had said the tests wouldn't happen until morning. "I'm going to stay in town for a while," William announced. "I already called my boss and arranged to work remotely for the next few weeks." "Good. Mom will need both of us, no matter what she says about not wanting us to put our lives on hold." William nodded, but Kate noticed he was avoiding eye contact. "There's something else I need to tell you about Mom's condition." Kate's heart sank. "What now?" "The cardiologist she's been seeing, Dr. Chen, told her that if the medication doesn't work and she needs surgery, there are some risks we need to be aware of." "What kind of risks?" William finally looked at her directly. "Because of her age and the specific type of heart condition she has, any major surgery carries higher risks than normal. Dr. Chen was very honest with her about the statistics." Kate felt like she was drowning in bad news. "Are you telling me that the surgery that's supposed to help her could actually make things worse?" "I'm telling you that there are no easy answers here. Every option has risks and benefits, and Mom is going to have to make some very difficult decisions." Kate pushed her untouched sandwich away. She had completely lost her appetite. "Why didn't she tell me any of this sooner? We could have been researching treatment options, getting second opinions, finding the best specialists." "She's been doing all of that, Kate. Dr. Chen is one of the best cardiologists in the state. She got a second opinion from a specialist at the medical university. She's not ignoring her health. She's just been trying to handle it privately." "But why? Why shut me out like this?" William was quiet for a long moment, stirring his coffee absently. "I think she's scared that if something happens to her, you'll blame yourself. She remembers how devastated you were when Dad died, how you felt guilty about every moment you weren't with him." Kate did remember feeling that way. After her father's funeral, she had spent months replaying every conversation, wondering if there was something more she could have done to help him. The guilt had been almost unbearable. "That's different, though. This time I could actually help. I could drive her to appointments, help her manage her medications, make sure she's eating right and not overexerting herself." "And what about your job? Your life?" Kate waved her hand dismissively. "My job will still be there. My life can wait." "That's exactly what Mom was afraid you'd say." Kate felt frustrated by the impossible situation. Her mother was trying to protect her, but in doing so, she was making Kate feel helpless and excluded. Meanwhile, Kate wanted to help, but her mother saw that desire as a sacrifice that wasn't worth making. Tomorrow, when we talk to the doctors, I want to know everything, Kate said firmly. No more protecting me from the truth. I'm an adult, and I can handle whatever they tell us. Agreed. Mom needs to understand that keeping secrets isn't helping anyone. They finished their coffee in silence, both lost in their own thoughts about what tomorrow might bring. Kate found herself thinking about all the things she wanted to say to her mother. All the memories she wanted to make sure they shared before anything else happened. When they returned to their hotel rooms, Kate tried to sleep but found herself staring at the ceiling for hours. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw her mother lying in that hospital bed, looking so small and vulnerable. Around midnight, her phone rang. Kate's heart jumped, thinking it might be the hospital with bad news, but it was her mother's neighbor, Mrs. Henderson. Kate, dear, I hope I'm not calling too late. I wanted to check on your mother and see if there's anything I can do to help. Kate appreciated the call, but she was too exhausted to have a long conversation. She's stable for now. The doctors are running more tests tomorrow. Is there anything you need? I could water her plants, bring in her mail, anything at all. Actually, that would be helpful. Thank you, Mrs. Henderson. Of course, dear. And Kate? Your mother is one of the strongest women I know. She's been through so much in her life, and she's always found a way to keep going. After hanging up, Kate realized that other people had noticed changes in her mother, too. Mrs. Henderson had probably been worried about her for months, just like Kate should have been. Kate made a mental list of all the questions she wanted to ask the doctors tomorrow. She wanted to know about treatment options, recovery times, long-term prognosis, and what she and William could do to help. She was done being protected from the truth. Finally, exhaustion took over, and Kate fell into a restless sleep filled with dreams of hospitals and her father's final days. Kate woke up at 5 in the morning, unable to sleep any longer. She showered and dressed quickly, wanting to get to the hospital before her mother's tests began. William was already waiting in the hotel lobby when she came downstairs. Couldn't sleep either? He asked. Not really. I keep thinking about all the questions I want to ask the doctors. They drove to the hospital in the early morning darkness. The parking lot was nearly empty, and the hospital felt different than it had the day before. Quieter, more serious somehow. At the information desk, they learned that Margaret had already been taken for her first round of tests. The nurse directed them to a different waiting area on the 4th floor, where they could wait for updates. This waiting room was smaller and more private than the one they had been in yesterday. There were only a few other families there, all looking tired and worried. Kate and William found seats near a window and settled in for what they knew would be a long day. Around 8 o'clock, Dr. Martinez appeared with another doctor Kate hadn't met before. This is Dr. Chen, Dr. Martinez said. She's been treating your mother for the past 6 months. Dr. Chen was a small, efficient-looking woman with kind eyes. She shook hands with both Kate and William before sitting down across from them. I know this is all very overwhelming, Dr. Chen began. Your mother asked me to speak with both of you about her condition and our treatment recommendations. Kate leaned forward, ready to hear everything. Please, tell us exactly what's going on. Your mother has dilated cardiomyopathy, which means the main pumping chamber of her heart has become enlarged and weakened. Yesterday's episode happened because her heart went into an irregular rhythm called atrial fibrillation. Is that what caused her to collapse? William asked. Yes. When the heart goes into atrial fibrillation, it can't pump blood effectively, which causes dizziness and sometimes fainting. The good news is that we've got her rhythm back to normal with medication. Kate felt a small surge of relief, but she could tell from the doctor's expressions that there was more difficult news coming. However, Dr. Chen continued, the tests we've run this morning show that her heart function has deteriorated since her last visit with me. The medication we've been using is no longer sufficient to manage her condition. What does that mean exactly? Kate asked, though she was afraid of the answer. It means we need to consider more aggressive treatment options. There are several possibilities, each with their own benefits and risks. Dr. Martinez pulled out a tablet and showed them some images from Margaret's heart tests. Even to Kate's untrained eye, the differences between a healthy heart and her mother's heart were obvious. The first option is to try a different combination of medications, Dr. Chen explained. This is the least invasive approach, but given how her condition has progressed, it's unlikely to provide significant improvement. What are the other options? William asked. We could implant a device called an ICD, an implantable cardioverter defibrillator. This would monitor her heart rhythm and deliver electrical shocks if it detects dangerous arrhythmias. Kate felt overwhelmed by the medical terminology. Would that help with the main problem, or just prevent episodes like yesterday? It would primarily prevent dangerous arrhythmias, but it wouldn't address the underlying weakness in her heart muscle. So what would address that? Kate asked. Dr. Chen and Dr. Martinez exchanged glances, and Kate knew they were about to deliver the most serious news yet. The most effective treatment would be cardiac resynchronization therapy combined with possible valve repair surgery, Dr. Chen said. This is major heart surgery, and at your mother's age, it carries significant risks. Kate felt her world tilting again. Major heart surgery. The words echoed in her mind as she tried to process what that would mean for her mother. What kind of risks? William asked quietly. With any major cardiac surgery, there's always a risk of complications during the procedure. There's also the risk that the surgery might not improve her condition significantly, and recovery would be lengthy and difficult. Kate found her voice. And if she doesn't have the surgery? What happens then? Without intervention, her heart will continue to weaken. She'll have more episodes like yesterday, and they'll become more frequent and more severe. The room fell silent as Kate and William absorbed this information. Kate felt tears building up again, but she was determined to stay strong and ask the right questions. How long does she have to decide? Kate asked. She doesn't need to decide today, Dr. Martinez replied. But we shouldn't wait too long. Her heart function is declining, and surgery becomes riskier as the patient gets weaker. Where is she now? Can we see her? She's back in her room, resting. The tests were tiring for her, but she's stable. You can see her whenever you're ready. Kate and William thanked the doctors and made their way back to Margaret's room. Kate's mind was spinning with everything they had just learned. Surgery or no surgery. Risk of death during the procedure or gradual decline without it. How was anyone supposed to make such an impossible choice? They found Margaret sitting up in bed, looking more alert than she had the day before. She smiled when she saw them, but Kate could see the worry in her eyes. Did you talk to the doctors? Margaret asked. Yes, Kate said, sitting down beside the bed. Mom, why didn't you tell us how serious this was? Margaret sighed. Because I knew you'd react exactly like this. I knew you'd want to take over and fix everything, and I knew you'd torture yourself about all the things you could have or should have done differently. Kate felt a flash of anger. So instead you decided to handle it all by yourself? What if something had happened to you and we never got the chance to say goodbye? I wasn't planning to die without talking to you, Margaret replied with a weak smile. I just wanted to spare you the months of worry and stress while we figured out the best treatment. William sat down in the chair on the other side of the bed. Mom, we understand that you were trying to protect Kate, but keeping us in the dark didn't help anyone. We're all adults here, and we should be making these decisions together. Margaret looked between her two children, and Kate could see her resolve starting to weaken. I'm scared, she admitted quietly. I'm scared of the surgery. And I'm scared of what happens if I don't have it. And I'm scared of putting you both through what we went through with your father. Kate reached for her mother's hand. Mom, what happened with Dad was different. He was already dying when we found out how sick he was. You're not dying. You have options and you have time to make the right choice. Do I, though? The doctors made it sound like I need to decide soon. Kate looked at William and she could see he was thinking the same thing she was. They needed more information before their mother could make such a major decision. What if we get a third opinion? Kate suggested. What if we research other hospitals, other specialists? Maybe there are treatment options these doctors haven't considered. Margaret shook her head. Kate, I've already done that. Dr. Chen helped me get consultations with 2 other cardiologists. They all agree on the diagnosis and the treatment options. But what about hospitals in other cities? What about experimental treatments or clinical trials? Sweetheart, I appreciate that you want to explore every possibility, but sometimes you reach a point where you have to work with the options you have. Kate felt frustrated and helpless. She was used to being able to research and plan her way out of difficult situations. But this was different. This was her mother's life, and there were no perfect solutions. So what are you thinking? William asked. Are you leaning toward the surgery? Margaret was quiet for a long time. I don't know. The thought of major surgery at my age terrifies me. But the thought of gradually getting sicker until I can't take care of myself anymore terrifies me too. Kate could hear the exhaustion in her mother's voice. Making this decision was wearing her down, and Kate realized that her mother needed support, not pressure. You don't have to decide today, Kate said gently. Why don't we just focus on getting you feeling better first? Then we can sit down together and really think through all the options. Margaret squeezed Kate's hand. I want you both to know that whatever I decide, I need you to respect my choice. I need to know that you'll support me, even if it's not what you would choose for me. William nodded immediately. Of course, Mom, it's your decision to make. Kate hesitated. The thought of her mother choosing to avoid surgery and gradually getting sicker was almost unbearable. But she also knew that her mother was right. This decision ultimately belonged to her. I'll support whatever you choose, Kate said finally. But I want to be here with you while you're making that choice. No more handling things by yourself. Margaret smiled, and for the first time since Kate had arrived at the hospital, she looked genuinely relieved. I'd like that. I've been so tired of carrying this all by myself. A nurse came in to check Margaret's vital signs and bring her lunch. While their mother ate, Kate and William stepped out into the hallway to talk privately. What do you really think she should do? Kate asked. Honestly, I think she should have the surgery. She's always been strong and healthy otherwise. I think she could handle the recovery. But what if something goes wrong during the procedure? What if we push her to have surgery and she dies on the operating table? William ran his hands through his hair. And what if we don't encourage her to have surgery and she has another episode like yesterday? But this time no one finds her in time? Kate realized that no matter what their mother decided, they would always wonder if she had made the right choice. There were no guarantees with either option. I think we need to focus on making sure she has all the information she needs and that she doesn't feel alone in making this decision, Kate said. Agreed. And Kate, I'm glad you're here. Mom needs both of us right now. Kate felt tears starting to build up again, but this time she didn't fight them. She had been holding back her emotions for 2 days, trying to stay strong for everyone else. But standing in this hospital hallway, thinking about the possibility of losing her mother, she finally let herself cry. William hugged her tightly. It's okay. We're going to get through this together, whatever happens. For the first time since this ordeal began, Kate allowed herself to feel the full weight of her fear and sadness. But she also felt something else, a sense of relief that the secrets were finally out in the open, and that she and William and their mother could face this challenge together. When they returned to Margaret's room, she looked at Kate's red eyes and immediately knew she had been crying. Come here, sweetheart, Margaret said, opening her arms. Kate hugged her mother carefully, mindful of all the medical equipment. "I love you, Mom. Whatever happens, I want you to know that I love you and I'm proud to be your daughter. I love you too, baby, both of you, and I'm proud of the strong, caring adults you've become." As they sat together in the quiet hospital room, Kate realized that this was what really mattered, not the medical decisions or the treatment options, but the love they shared as a family. Whatever the future held, they would face it together, with honesty and support for each other. Margaret looked at both of her children and smiled. "You know what? I think I'm ready to hear all of your opinions about what I should do. No more protecting anyone from difficult conversations." Kate and William exchanged glances and smiled back at their mother. Finally, they could stop holding back and start moving forward together. Whatever decision Margaret made about her treatment, Kate knew that she would no longer have to carry the burden alone. The truth was out, and their family was stronger for it.